Hello and welcome to Native Yoga Center. My name is Todd McLaughlin and I'm so happy you're here. Today I want to explain the posture Baddha Konasana bound angle pose. So bound angle pose in Ashtanga Yoga is to have the soles of the feet together in a foot prayer style, and there's two variations. One of them is bound angle A. And bound angle A is working the chin down toward the ground. And bound angle B is to tuck the chin and touch the forehead to the toes. Now, the benefit of the bound angle pose is basically it's a hip opener. So where we're going to start first is with a prop. And here I have a thin bolster just to demonstrate the concept of the ability to sit on a prop to elevate the hips. So what I see very often is this sort of positioning here where the tension and the rotational ability of the hips and the adductor musculature on the inside thighs are tight. And we sit down on the floor and our knees are kind of jacked up like this, and there's really nowhere to go. It feels like there's nowhere to go. Now, in the bound angle, in physics, we have this concept of finding the edge and then tipping forward over the edge. Now, the edge, in this case, is having the spine vertical and the ability to sit with the chest above the hips. Now, if I go to set up the bound angle and bring the feet in close to me, typically what happens because of the tightness of the hip musculature, and when I go to pull the feet in, it ends up pushing me backward. Now, when my chest and my momentum is going backward, it's really hard to get the leverage to push or press into the hip joints to get them to open downward. So the big key is being able to get to a position where we can sit up vertical. And this is a lot easier to do if we elevate our hips off of the floor. So for example, if I take even more props, here I have a bolster and two blankets, then if I stack myself up a little higher, I might find that in the process now of pulling the heels in closer, I can still access the ability to sit upward, to sit upright, and to get the chest above the hips. Now, think of it like you got your bicycle up to the top of the hill. Now you're going to coast downhill. And going downhill is easier than going uphill. You just have to make sure you have good brakes. So with that being said, I'm going to start to lean and watch how the correlation of leaning and the ability for the knees to go down are connected. So I lean back, my knees come up, I come forward, my knees go down. What we want to do, the bound angle references the fact that we can bind our hands to our feet are bound close together, and we use the combination of the foot bind and the hand foot bind to give us something to hold on to. So now I'm really high up, so because my hips will go down, I am going to pretend they don't, and I make the bind. And the main thing really here, because sometimes we'll see this where the elbows come forward of the shins or just not being able to grab the feet. So what we want to do when we're able to make catch of the feet is to put the elbows on the inside edge of the thighs. And now I can lean in, you can lean in, and that lean is how you're going to press into the hip opening. Now, a couple of factors, the knees. Sometimes there's knee pain when we do this because of the meniscus and where the bend of the knee is. If we have worn out meniscus, or maybe you have like a MCL issue or some sort of ligament damage in the knee, then we do need to approach this very carefully and gently. So please listen to your knees, and if you have knee pain, only really kind of work on it in a way, like one really good way to kind of open the hips is just to sit on the floor and to sit on the bolsters and just hang out right here. You could do some tasks, you could read, you could work on a project, you could get a little table set up if you needed to do some work here. But this is a really good way to get the hips to open up and to create more mobility. When the hips open up, then we have this ability to kind of squat can stand, and we can go from the floor, and we can put our feet down, and we can stand up, not even using the hands. So there's great benefit to improving the mobility of the hips, our ability to kind of move from one position to the other and kind of make, graceful movements from here to there, has a lot to do with this hip mobility. So that's why Baddha Konasana, bound angle, is so important. All right, so now say we get to the point where we do not need a bolster or anything to sit on anymore, and we're going hardcore. We're going all the way down onto the floor. Now the same rules apply. Let me turn sideways so you can see how my spine is working in this. So notice that if I'm here and I'm rounding, it's going to be real tough to get leverage. I can get a little bit of leverage by using my elbows, and I can, you can see how I can push here. But the fact of the matter is that when you get down to the floor, when we come down, hopefully you're able to get to the point where your spine is straight. So if you're unable to sit on the floor and get your spine straight, put a blanket or bolster underneath your hips. If you're at the point where you can get on the floor and you can sit up straight, now the tipping point works to our advantage. You have found the tipping point. Once you find the tipping point, that is where you're going to start to feel some progress. So sometimes students, we think, I don't want to use props. I don't want to look like I don't know how to do it, or I feel self-conscious about being in public in a yoga class. Don't worry about all that, or practice at home. That removes all that altogether. Use these videos and just work at it. And what I recommend is to do at least 5 minutes every day for 30 days straight. If you go to my website, nativeyogacenter.com, on the homepage, there's a free downloadable chart that has 30 days, and you can cross it off. And the goal, the challenge, to practice 5 minutes a day for 30 days straight. And if you just pick one pose, like this pose, Baddha Konasana, I'm going to do Baddha Konasana every day, 5 minutes a day for 30 days straight. Take a picture of yourself doing it on day 1, and then take a picture of yourself doing it on day 30. And look at your knees and see, did they go a little closer down to the floor? When you can start to measure your success, you get a sense of realization of how well yoga works. Yoga works. Yoga, it works. So just try it. You got to just apply it and try it. All right, so here we go. I'm coming forward. Now, another really cool fact is that the feet have a direct relationship to the hip opening. Notice that if I make a foot prayer position with my feet, where their feet are together, like a prayer position with the hands totally together, and I grab my feet and I take my thumbs and I put my thumbs in between my big toes and I grab my feet. Now watch what I do. I try to peel the feet open like it's a book. And when you peel the feet open, look what happens to the knees. Now I know, because I had the flexibility is here, I'm demonstrating what it looks like when the flexibility is here. If you don't have the flexibility yet, more likely what will happen is you'll move the feet and there'll be very little movement. But I want you to get a grip on the feet so you can get a grip on getting the hips open more. And now as you lean forward, you touch your elbows on the thighs and you just lean into it. And in the Baddha Konasana A, extend your chin forward. And then you do the Baddha Konasana B, where you tuck your chin and you round forward. And typically in Ashtanga Yoga, we'll breathe for 5 breaths. If you're practicing yin yoga, hold it for 5 minutes. This is a really critical pose. I think it's really important. Everybody can do. Now, if my legs are say, for example, I have knee pain, what I can do is take blocks and I can put something under my legs to give me a little something in the beginning to lean into. And try this technique as well and see if it helps. Now notice right now I have the blocks at this level of depth under my legs. So then I lean back, I take the blocks out a little wider and lean in. I take the blocks out a little wider and lean in. And you get the idea. Eventually the blocks are out of the picture, you lean in and the legs go down. This is the core ingredients of the Baddha Konasana. One of the main complaints I hear most people have is that I feel tight and flexible and I want to be able to touch my toes. This is a critical pose, in my opinion, a staple posture that is worthwhile implementing every single day. If you have any questions, reach out to me, info@nativeyogacenter.com, and you can find us on all our social media channels. And the key is just to keep it going. keep practicing. And download that chart and go ahead and try the challenge, 30-day challenge, and just do 5 minutes of yoga every day. I'm even with our students here. A lot of the students right now are all going through the challenge together. And I've said that like 5 minutes, what I'm saying for the 5-minute yoga practice literally can be breathing practice. You can do a 5-minute Shavasana practice. You can do a 5-minute Baddha Konasana practice. Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to point out, another cool technique with Baddha Konasana is, so what I have here is a strap, and I'm going to put the strap over my body, and I'm going to take the strap and I'm going to put it under my feet. So see how I have the loop of the strap around the feet. Then what I can do is tighten the strap. So you just got to, finesse it to where I'm going to take the strap and I'm going to bind my feet together with the strap. And watch, I'm going to pull it in and get it a little bit tighter and pull it in. Now I have like some support from the strap on my feet, and my feet won't slide out. So as I lean forward, sometimes this can kind of help you keep it together. This yoga can help you keep your life together. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, actually. Yoga does help you keep your life together. But here we can bind the feet in with the strap in a nice kind of secure position. And then you can just practice holding. Now we can even do a pranayama practice here. Baddha Konasana is a really good pose for practicing breathing exercise. And you can just pick a focal point. Like you could light a candle or put something in front of you where you hold your attention and just practice concentrating and holding your attention at a single point. So the long story short, there's so many different ways you can integrate and activate in the yoga practice. And what I've noticed personally practicing yoga for over 30 years now is that the yoga is like the most incredible aspect in my life personally. Yoga has become my whole life. I have other things I like to do as well, but I've been teaching professionally now for the last 24 years. And I see so much change with my clients. I see so many people improve and progress that it fuels me and gets me even more excited. So thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, I'm here to help. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Namaste.